Hi, folks. I'm Alfred Addis. This is Financial Survival, brought to you by Discount Gold and Silver at 1-800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs. I'm sitting in for Melody Cedarstrom today, who is currently on vacation. Our guest will be Robert Chapman, economist and the editor and publisher of the International Forecaster. And we will bring Bob in here shortly. First, give you a couple of market quotes, give us an idea of what's happening in the markets today. Hang on just a second. Gold is up 90 cents to $940.80 an ounce. Silver's up 6 cents to $14.10 an ounce. Platinum's up $16 to $1,211 per ounce. Palladium is up $2 to $251 per ounce. Go down to the equities. Dow Jones is down 34.92 to 8,437. Nasdaq is up $3.95 to 1,833. New York Stock Exchange is up 6.79 to 5,917. U.S. dollar is down 0.4 to 79.85. And crude oil is down 94 cents to $69.29 per barrel. Bob, are you there?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you always tell me that. I always ask, and you always say you're not there. But I guess if you ask a silly question, I guess you got to get a silly answer.
No, it's not a silly question. I'm just a smarty.
Well, a little of both. Well, what have you got for us today, Bob? What's new in the markets?
The market was kind of tepid today. No action one way or the other, really. The gold stocks were up a little bit, saying, we'd like better than that. But they can't be up every day. It was a good week for gold and silver holders, and especially the shares moved up smartly. I hope that the premiums on the numismatics moved up as well. The stock market, kind of a nothing. I think more will come next week. Mr. Bernanke was before the Congress yesterday, and he lied just about all the time, but that's what we expect today, because lying is politically and socially acceptable, and of course there is no morality left, unfortunately, on Wall Street banking and in Washington and too many other places as well. And so I think the market didn't go down today and yesterday to any extent, because the denizens of Wall Street were thinking, well, I guess they bought the story and everything's going to be okay. Well, they haven't bought the story, and I just got a piece that just came in that the Fed, which obviously now is terrified of H.R. 1207, which is the bill by Ron Paul to investigate the Federal Reserve, and then another bill behind it to get rid of it. They must be really concerned. About 3 weeks ago, they hired Mrs. Robertson, who used to do lobbying for Enron, and she's in there banging Congress's heads up against the wall, saying, if you vote for this thing, we're not going to give you any more money. It varies, but 5 to 10% of all the money received by people in the House and the Senate comes from banking, Wall Street, insurance, and other financial products. And so it's of a concern. The question is, how many, phone calls are they getting? And they obviously are getting lots, 258. And there's 535 people in Congress. That means they only need another 10 co-sponsors if they hold their vote to get this thing passed. Well, in the meantime, they put a bunch of guys from Goldman Sachs together. It just came in before I got on the air, and it'll be in tomorrow is the issue as a link. And so they've got some team that's going to come from Goldman and I guess other places that are going to defend the Fed against the onslaught of the populists. That's what we are, we're populists.
Mm-hmm.
We happen to be Americans who are sick and tired of getting robbed.
Also known as we the people.
We the people.
Exactly,
so
as opposed to them the bankers.
Budding in, what's that?
As opposed to them the bankers. And, of course, that's the big choice the Congress is going to have to face now. Do they cater to the handful of elitists, banking elite, who's been putting money in their personal pockets, or do they do what's right for the American people? You would think that would never be a real choice, but in fact, we know where they're probably going to go.
Well, there's another issue, and I'm going to bring it into the stage because I have to. Then I'll slip back into the market again. Right now, there's debate going on about the cap and trade bill, which is about greenhouse gases and CO2. It's the biggest scam of all time. It's going to be the biggest tax increase of all time if it's passed. And I've been on 2 other programs today, which have got people burning up the switchboards in Washington. In fact, people can't even get into the switchboards, and there's about 25 general numbers, and then there's all of the individual office numbers of the people in Congress. And any of you out there, take a minute off from the program and call your congressman in Washington and tell them you want them to vote against this cap and trade bill. It will increase the cost of everything that you buy by 20%. It will further keep us from competing with the world. It will further increase unemployment by a minimum of 5 million people. It will cost $1 trillion a year in increased taxes. I never thought that this bill would get this far, but it's an Illuminati priority. It's the biggest tax increase in history anywhere.
Well, and one other question.
And as you know, in the health bill that they've got, they're going to use a VAT to pay for it, a value-added tax, which is going to add another 20% to your taxes. So you're in, let's say, the 24% bracket. Your state tax is, say, 4% if you have one. That's 28. You get your Social Security. If you only pay half of it, that takes you up to 36%. These are ballpark figures. And then you get another 40% on top. And that doesn't count your real estate taxes, sales tax, and state income tax. You're going to be you're going to be taxed if this bill and the health bill pass for 80% of your income. You are going to become slaves of the state. And these morons in Congress right now, in fact, at the moment, the last time I looked, they had enough votes to pass it, but the offices of the House members are being bombarded. The people are going berserk. 80% of the public is against this bill. Why are they going to try to pass it? Mostly Democrats, of course, because they're all getting paid off.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty simple. It's a very, very important cog in world government. There was an article in Foreign Affairs in 1966, and it was written by David Rockefeller. And he outlined this, what it is we'll call it a Dirty Air Act. And it's an excuse. It's a scam. And how they were going to fund the UN and the IMF and all the little pet projects they have in each country. Because everybody's going to pass this thing. They've been doing it in Spain for the last 5 years. It's been a disaster. And that's what this bill was based upon. Anyway, Rockefeller talked about this along with Zbigniew Brzezinski when they formed the Trilateral Commission in the late 60s. How do I know I was there? And they also, in his article, or no, the article to follow, he talked about free trade and globalization and how they were going to destroy the American economy. And a year later, I wrote an article for the American Mercury outlining what they had said. And I said, you know, this is the way they're going to go about it. Well, it took them a while, almost 40 years. David Rockefeller is still alive, and that's what they want to do to us. So take time off of the program. Jump on the phone. Call your House member and say, I don't want cap and trade. Vote against it and get off the line.